Hello, Myriah. I'm so
Hello,
excited to welcome you.
thank you.
Yeah, welcome to the extension of the Coach Up podcast. Thank you, Myriah, for being on as a coach. And I'm going to let you introduce yourself, who you are, and what you do. But I'll just say this: I'm very excited to have you on because you work around the imposter syndrome and help you work in that area, part of it. And I really want to dig into that today because I think that's so important. Getting over that, understanding it, especially around leadership, which is also a little bit about what you do. So I'll let you tell people what you do. I'm Kenesha Hart. For those who don't know, Myriah, introduce yourself. Tell us what you do.
Okay, hello. I'm Myriah Wallace. I am actually a licensed therapist in Missouri. And now I've turned to the dark side of coaching and consulting. Mostly kidding. I actually am, I've been thinking about doing this for a very long time. And that is because I spent several years in leadership in the healthcare industry. So I learned firsthand how hard it can be at the top, and you don't have a lot of support. So, as a licensed therapist overseeing a large group and several different programs, I thought, man, I can really do something to help people similarly in my position. So I sought out to be a therapist for executives, leaders, supervisors, managers. But I soon realized that to counsel these people, you have to give a formal mental health diagnosis. And just to get insurance to pay for it. And not everybody has a mental health diagnosis, but they can greatly benefit from therapy, which led me to consulting and coaching. So now I want to focus on executives and leaders and teach them to gain the confidence and overcome imposter syndrome. That's me.
Okay, so you have seen what leadership at the top can look like. And like you said, it can be very lonely and the challenges that go with it. But what made you focus on imposter syndrome?
Well, I think a lot of that, what I have seen is some of the industries, companies, they promote some of the best employees. You know, if you're really, really good at your job, you get a promotion. And not everybody is management or supervisor material just because you're the best employee. So oftentimes these people, take on a role that they don't know anything about, even though they're quite capable, qualified. They just don't have a few of those skills that, you learn in business school or, something like that. And just, helping them gain that confidence. People can do it. You can learn it. You just have to learn the skills and believe in yourself to be that good leader.
So, can you explain, Mariah, what imposter syndrome is and how it might show up in people?
Yeah. So basically, I'll just start with what happened to me is one of my very first leadership positions. I was absolutely just thrown in. Somebody found out that I have a master's degree. Actually went into for a different job, and she said, "Nope, I want you to be a supervisor." And I didn't know what I was doing. I got a 30-day, 60-day, and a 90-day binder to read to learn how to do my job. And I had some of my employees, my team, actually teach me how to do my job, which was humbling, to say the least. But in that moment, I could not have felt more, incapacitated. I was just overwhelmed. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have confidence to lead. So I think my passion started there. So that being said, imposter syndrome is having unrealistic high standards. You like dread being found out as a fraud, and you have this feeling that you are unworthy of your role. So even though I had the personality, a degree, and training, I just absolutely felt, somebody knows more than me, or I didn't feel comfortable supervising, overseeing people who were older than me. I just felt I am not in the right place. So that's where you are with imposter syndrome, is feeling like an imposter. And some of the things that can go along with that, if you don't overcome it, is you can miss a lot of really important opportunities. You're not likely to take chances. You may miss further promotions, really good connections, and networking. And oftentimes, in severe cases, you can have a lot of anxiety and lead to depression too.
Thank you, because I think sometimes we hear terms and we don't always know what they
Mhm.
truly mean or how they can show up. Or we may actually be acting out in some of those ways, and not acting out in a bad way, but that's how we're acting or how we're
Mhm.
thinking, and not be able to recognize, not have a term to it that helps us to identify, okay, there is this is a thing, and so there is help for it, right? It's
Mhm.
not just you in your head and nobody else feels
Mhm.
that way. Like, this is a whole situation.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of a industry jargon that you hear in mental health, and it's now becoming more well known in some of the executive and business world. But yeah, we deal with it in mental health quite a bit.
Yeah. And so you work and coach leaders through this, and then
Mhm.
also in leadership in general, how to be a good leader. And so, can you talk about some of the tools that you give your clients to start to work through imposter syndrome?
Yeah. So I actually have a 6 week course or a program built out specifically surrounded around confidence. And then I also do a customized, package, based on specific needs. But overcoming imposter syndrome, we look a lot about your thinking errors, what your thoughts are and how they lead to your behaviors. And we challenge a lot of those thoughts. So we know what's going on in your mind. I empower you to explore a little bit of the faulty thinking, and we develop goals that are very specific, they're measurable, and we get you to the place that you want to be. So I use motivational interviewing, and I also teach a lot of basic, like little unknown confidence hacks. So I've got a little bit of a few things in my tool belt that I teach to have somebody feel confident in the moment.
Okay, you said two things I want to ask about. So, of course, I want to know at least one hack.
Okay.
Right, you have to share at least one hack. But then you also said,
Absolutely.
confidence interviewing? No, what was it's
Motivational
interviewing,
interviewing.
motivational interviewing. Okay, so give us a hack, and then I want to come back to what motivational interviewing is.
Okay. So, one of the hacks, one of the easiest things that you can do is just master some of your nonverbal or your body language. So, most of the time we sit like this anymore, so our shoulders are hunched, our back's not straight, and our eyes really have a tired look because they're staring at screens all the time. But if you want an instant pick me up to appear more confident, you sit straight, you pull your shoulders back parallel with the wall, and you slightly tilt your chin up a little bit, not super high to appear arrogant, but if you tilt your chin up and then you kind of widen your eyes so that they're very clear and bright, you appear a lot more confident just in adjusting a few key things for that.
Now, that's very interesting because I do know uh, Amy, I forget her last name, who wrote the
Honey,
book. Is it Amy Honey who wrote the book Present?
Amy, well, I
Cuddy,
don't know.
Cuddy,
Yes,
Cuddy,
yes.
Cuddy is what it is. Yes. She talks about you can do to become. Um,
Mhm.
and so what you're talking about, changing your body language. will cause your mind to believe that you are more powerful. You feel more
Mhm.
confident. And so with what you just shared, will it, are you doing it? Are you teaching it so that the person is confident or they look more confident?
Well, I guess it depends on the level of imposter syndrome or, low self esteem that they have. Doing this isn't super easy because if you're an introvert or you don't feel confident, you're typically gonna, kind of go into your, like a shell. You're keeping to yourself. But I use the term fake it till you make it. So if you can just appear that way, and I think that Amy Cuddy, which I love her TED talk on it, she actually talks about, doing the power pose, for 5 minutes or something along those lines before you have to be in public or give a speech. And it's something about the chemicals that are released that make you feel, confident, something like that. So if you need to be in a situation that makes you nervous ahead of time, you should watch her TED talk and just, engage in her power pose. And then you can resume, more of a normal posture, so you don't look really like a Superman.
I think that's also why it's so important to have coaches such as yourself, because you can read a book, you can go to a TED talk, but we often need that additional accountability, that additional support, those reminders, that repetition that happens when you have a coach. And so you can learn those tactics, but when you have a coach to bounce off, okay, I did this, but I still didn't feel, or I need to talk through this, and I can try this. That's what you would be able to help with.
Absolutely. That accountability. I say, I'm not always here to be your friend. I'm here to help you get the needs met that you need met. So if I have to tell you some difficult things, I feel like I'm doing my job. If it gets you to be where you need to be, So sometimes you got to hear the hard stuff, and a good coach will tell you that. They're not there to be your friend. You're paying them for results.
Absolutely. Okay, so talk to me about motivational interviewing. Did I say it right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, what is that?
So that is a very effective strategy. We use it in therapy a lot, and it's also used for addictions. So that's where it stemmed. That's where it started. So people who maybe they want to quit smoking. So as a coach, I would gauge what is going on, and I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you feel you are at in being ready to stop smoking? So if they're not ready, they may rate themselves, like a 3. And so what motivational interviewing does is they go in there and they actually say, you're at a 3, okay, you want to quit smoking. What's in the way of you becoming a 4? What's in the way? And then you explore that difference between the 3 and the 4, and you say, okay, so you're not ready, what are you not ready about? Is there something, and then you discover that little thing right there. And usually they'll say, well, I guess I can overcome that. So maybe I'm more of a 4. And then we discuss, well, what's the difference between a 4 and a 5? It sounds like you're ready. And you're just helping them move along the spectrum until they're ready to be where they are. Usually you can motivate them a little sooner. So we can apply that to the coaching world too. Where are you at on a scale of 1 to 10? And you just move people along the spectrum, using a lot of verbal techniques. It's really awesome.
Thank you for sharing that. I've never heard that, but it makes sense to ask what's the incremental step that will get you
Yeah.
to the next number, and you're making step by step progress.
Hmm. Hmm.
Absolutely love that. Okay. All right. So before I move into more of leadership, and then I want to get into a little bit about how you built your business, because I'd love to talk about and want to make sure coaches know, okay, this is a coach who has found success in her business and is building it. How is she doing it? But I do have one more question about your work with leaders. And so, in addition to working through imposter syndrome, what's something else, an area that you find is very necessary to help your leaders become better, that you're able to work with and help them in their business? improve in?
Yes. So that is one of my biggest passions. And I think a lot of that stems from my therapy background. And what I'm able to do is teach how important your relationships are with your people, building trust and making sure that your team members know that you're there for them. You have a personal interest, you want to see them succeed. And then once you have that trust, that relationship built, they're a little bit more likely to receive coaching or feedback themselves more positively. So instead of going in with a performance review and everybody's angry and mad, they know that you actually want to do the best for them. So developing a lot of the positive relationships and gaining their trust and rooting for them at their level.
Okay, one hack that you have or one technique that you teach to help leaders to build those solid relationships.
Okay. So I like to say, what is this? Don't take things personally. It's not about you, separate yourself from the problem. So, a lot of people can take offense so easily these days. I'm right, you're wrong. You're just there, you don't care about me. But if you look at the problem, the issue, and not the person, you can separate some of the issues there. One of my things that I'm very, very proud of is I had one of my employees. I wanted to it was really important to develop the relationship that we had. And there was a little mishap, and she was not where she said she was going to be. And I had heard from some people who were at the meeting expecting her to be there. Instead of saying, "Why weren't you there? What were you thinking? You're in so much trouble." I had to think about it for a while. I didn't immediately rush to the answer, but later I said, "Hey, can you help me solve a problem? I had heard that you weren't at this town hall meeting today." And I told these people that's impossible because we rescheduled and we adjusted everything that you needed to do to be there. I said, "Were you sitting, somewhere where they couldn't see you?" And she was able to say, "No, I didn't go. I'm so sorry. I just didn't do it." But joining her, letting her know that I knew she wasn't there, but you had that relationship, you established that trust, and you allowed her to get, save a little bit of face. And I think that's that's pretty important too.
That's a great example, and I admire how you did that, right? Like you saved face for her, and you reaffirmed that she would do the right thing, that
Yes.
your belief that she would do the right thing was there and present. And so I think that's so important when leaders have to provide that accountability and say,
Yeah.
I, I know this is not you. This is just a decision that you made. Like you said,
Right.
separating the issue from the person. And so let's address this issue, but affirming them as a person. I think that's a beautiful, very valuable skill set
Thank
that,
you.
yes, leaders need. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Okay, so Myriah, now I want to dig a little bit into your coaching business because part of the platform for the Coach Up podcast is how are these coaches building their business? And so how long have you had your coaching business?
Only since January. So in terms of a lot of these newbies, I am the fresh of the fresh. But, I have been doing what I am doing now throughout the course of my leadership career. So all along, I've been teaching and building people up to be leaders and moving them to develop their own initiatives and along that. So I thought, why can't I just not do that for myself? I'm doing this for somebody else, for a company that I care deeply about, but I can do it my way a little bit more effectively. And that's where I am today. So as a former therapist, I did not know anything about search engine optimization, platforms, all of these building these websites out and email marketing. It was a whole new world for me. So I had a very fast crash course. But I found that I absolutely loved that challenge and that transition. And I think that I've developed a whole new side of myself that I am so, so excited about. I didn't know that I would love this. The only thing is, it's kind of killing me to be much more present on social media and advertising myself. I'm not quite used to that because I've always been trained that it's about your client. So selling myself, it's a little bit of a transition.
I am super excited that you had that realization and said, I do this already. I'm already coaching. I'm already developing people. I can do this for myself. And so congratulations to you for that empowerment. One of the reasons I was so excited to have you on, Myriah, is because exactly what you just said. You're still in the new honeymoon phase of coaching and you're still learning. And like you said, you went through a crash course. So I know you have some great information to share, especially to new coaches who are where you were 5 months ago or 6 months ago. So I'm curious, you mentioned a couple of things I want to dig into really quickly. SEO. So can you explain one, just what the abbreviation means, and then two, like one or two tips that you learned that have helped you with your optimization?
Oh my gosh, I may be the worst person to ask for this, but search engine optimization, what I have learned is you have got to be Google's most popular pick. There's hundreds of people trying to get their name out there, being those first three names, when you're put into a search. And it takes time, a lot of effort to get there. And a couple things that you can do are picking keywords for your industry. So you want to make sure you're finding the most popular keywords for your niche. So for leadership, I look at leadership development, employee retention. I find these keywords that are really important, or productivity. And you put them in your website, so that when Google selects your site, some of these keywords are picked up. So, and the more, I guess, descriptive and detailed you can be, they call it long tail keywords, which probably everybody knows more than I do, is using phrases instead of just keywords. Like, what do I do if an employee backtalks me? You put it in quotes. Or how do I motivate my team? How do I increase employee retention? So those are your long tail keywords instead of just having one or two words. So that is something that I have been taught. And the whole concept of backlinks. So I know all of these coaches will probably have way more information than me, but making sure that you have links on, you've either established blog posts or somebody else can reference some of the things that you are doing. So when you're on a website and they click your information or your article and it backlinks to your website, Google thinks that you're more valuable, because other people are referencing you. So you're more likely to boost your way up on the search list. So I'm still learning and I just absolutely love it. I am also up for lots of new tips.
So, Myriah, thank you for sharing that, because that's two things that you shared that I did not know. So, your crash course already is, I think it's amazing. And so, I do want to ask about backlinks, because I don't know that I've heard that, and I I am one who's done no research on SEO, so this is very helpful. But the phrase that you mentioned, I didn't know about the long phrases either, and so that is super helpful. And to make sure that it's in quotation marks, so something that I will start putting into practice. You're already coaching me. Um, but the backlink portion, so I'm curious when you said backlink. So if you're referencing a blog and somebody clicks your name, Are you saying it then takes it to an article you wrote, or it takes it to your website?
Back to your website. Yeah.
Ah,
So, like, I would probably post on my website, I would say, Kanisha Hart, thank you so much for your time today. And then if somebody's visiting my website and they click on it and it links to your website, it makes you, stand out a little bit more, which I will absolutely do for you today.
thank you so much. I don't know how to do that, but if you can, I will definitely make tagging you on everything.
Yeah, just Google it. Even Pinterest has some awesome tips on how to optimize your websites and everything.
Really? And I was going
Yeah.
to ask, where did you do your crash course, your learning, your research?
Oh, yeah. Honestly, it is the craziest thing. You know how everything that you type in or you think about or hear, Google knows, and all of a sudden these ads pop up. So apparently it knew I needed to start a website and get traffic to me. And so I got ads about search engine optimization. And so I just went into a deep rabbit hole and said, what is this? And as I gained clients, I thought, well, this is really, really important because you can't just what they call it post and pray, hopefully what you're saying, and pray that those clients come to you based on your post. So you've got to work really hard nowadays. It's not like in therapy, your clients are just coming straight to you because they have a huge need. Coaching, it's not something where your clients are always running to you when you're first starting out.
So then kudos to you for again stepping out on your own to do this. Okay, and then you also mentioned email marketing. And I know that's something that can be amazing for some people and a bane for some people. So, one, which email marketing platform do you use? And then two, like, what's one or two tips that you've learned that have helped you, or maybe a system or two that you've put into place that have helped you in starting your business?
Yeah. Well, I started using Kartra. It's similar to Kajabi, if anybody's ever heard of that. It's a learning curve, but there's a lot of how-to videos, and that company is there to help you through. So they help you build out your web pages, and they've got a communication section where your clients who have expressed some sort of interest, you can automatically put them on an email list, and guide them through, what they need to do to get to your services. And then one of the tips that, once a client's on your email list, it's automated. So you can pre-select the dates, the times, which email you want to follow. There's like sequences. So I have set up, a sequence of 4 emails to check in with my audience, my clients, and to nurture them. So I'm trying to give them as much value as possible and establish trust. And one of the things that I learned is that your subject line is one of the most important things that, even to get somebody to click to open it. And then the second most important thing in email marketing is your PS. So at the end of an email, somebody will scroll all the way down, look at your name, and then see your PS. So having that PS line is really important. You want to put something catchy in there.
Okay. Again, Mariah, 5 months in, and you are just dropping amazing gems, especially for people it's new to and don't know. I hadn't heard the PS thing.
I hadn't either. I spoke to a copywriter, and she had guided me through that. She kind of critiqued some of my emails, and she said, you got to get some PS lines. And she said, that's the latest data. I thought, it makes sense, because I look for emails and then I will do a scroll to see if it's worthy. And then I do that myself, look at that PS line. So that's very important, apparently.
What's one thing, as you mentioned, something catchy? Can you give an example of something that you might put on a PS?
Oh my goodness. Let me think. I think one of my emails, I give a little bit of value and talk about the importance of leadership, throughout this email and some examples and tips. And then one of my PS lines says, um, don't let another person take your rightful place when you know that you have the qualifications to do the job.
That is good, Myriah. Oh, that is so good. Okay, so I am going to, and I don't even think I did this when you came on. I am so sorry I was late. I am going to, I'm going to honor your time. And so we'll wrap up because that was what you just said is brilliant. Way to
It's
wrap
not
up.
me. I
But
learned from so
because,
many others.
but that's right. That's how we continue to grow, right? We learn from one
Absolutely.
another. And then because you will touch people that I will never touch, I will touch people that you will never touch. So
Mhm.
as we learn from each other and then we share, then that is what blesses other people. And so what credit is due. I love that you said I learned it and now you're sharing that. So that is perfect.
Yes, it is.
Because I didn't get my full time with you today, Myriah, I may ask you to come back because I think there's probably some leadership stuff that we could delve into more deeply
Mhm.
that I would be delighted. What do you think?
I would love to. There's so much that I have to share on leadership. It's just such a passion of mine. So I would be delighted.
Excellent. Okay, so for now, tell people how they can find you and connect with you and work with you.
Okay, so you can visit my website. It's www.myriahwallace.com. If you can see the way my name is spelled, it's a little different, and it's MyriahWallace. You can also email me, Myriah@MyriahWallace.com. Follow me here on LinkedIn and Facebook. So that's how you connect with me. I actually have a video of little bite sized nuggets of wisdom on my website that you can access for free if you want a few little tips and techniques and tricks from Myriah. So all you have to do is email me and then I will email you the link back and then you have full access to my videos.
Excellent. And 6-week program. Is that, do you have a cohort, a starting and stopping when you're accepting clients and not, or can people connect with you and then start?
Yeah. So if you wanted to work with me, I want to make sure that I'm even the right fit for you. I As much as I want to take on everybody and help as many as I can, it's important to have that rapport with your coach too. So I want to have that two-way conversation, make sure we work well for one another, and then I can determine if we need to customize your goals or if you would work well with my predetermined curriculum and go from there. So right now I don't have a cohort going, but I have future plans to get that going.
Perfect. I think getting to hang out and talk with you one on one and be coached by you would be amazing.
Thank
Because
you.
you've coached me today, and so I appreciate it.
I didn't feel like it, so
That's the best kind of coaching, right?
yeah, I guess.
Absolutely. Again, thank you for your time, Myriah. Yes, I am excited to invite you to come back and let's talk more leadership on the Coach Up podcast platform. That it has been a delight to have you today, and we will definitely stay in touch.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.